My name is Olivia Carter. I am 42 years old. 2 weeks before our 20th wedding anniversary, my husband suggested we take a special couple photo shoot to celebrate our marriage. I thought it was romantic. After 20 years together, I believed we were stronger than ever. We laughed on the way to the studio. We held hands. We even talked about renewing our vows. Everything felt perfect, until the photographer suddenly stopped shooting. He looked uncomfortable, nervous. Then he quietly pulled me aside and whispered, "Ma'am, please stay calm. You need to see something first." I didn't understand what he meant, but when I looked at the camera screen, my entire world changed. Before I tell you what actually happened, please like and subscribe if this story earns it, and tell me where you are watching from. Now let's begin. I stood beside my husband inside the photography studio, smiling for the camera like everything in my life was perfect. 20 years of marriage. 2 decades of memories, struggles, celebrations, and sacrifices. I truly believed we had survived everything together. Mark had insisted on this photo shoot himself. 20 years only comes once, he said that morning. Let's make it special. I remember feeling happy hearing that. Lately, he had been distant, working late, always busy on his phone. But I told myself it was stress. Marriage changes after many years. I trusted him completely. The studio lights were bright. Soft music played in the background. The photographer adjusted the camera while asking us to stand closer. "Put your arm around her," he told Mark. Mark smiled politely and placed his hand on my shoulder. But something felt forced. His smile didn't reach his eyes. We posed again and again. Then suddenly, the photographer lowered his camera. He stared at the screen longer than normal. His expression changed. Confusion first, then concern. He glanced at Mark, then back at me. "Excuse me," he said carefully. "Ma'am, could you come here for a moment?" I thought maybe there was a lighting issue. I followed him a few steps away while Mark checked his phone behind us. The photographer lowered his voice. "Please don't react loudly," he whispered. "But you need to see this." My heart skipped. He turned the camera screen toward me. At first, I didn't understand what I was looking at. It was a reflection captured accidentally in the camera lens. Mark standing behind me, holding his phone, typing quickly. A message clearly visible on the screen. I leaned closer, and then I read the words, "Tonight, everything ends. After the anniversary party, I'll finally be free." My stomach dropped. Another message appeared underneath. "Don't worry. Everyone already believes she's unstable." My hands began shaking. The sender's name saved with a heart emoji. Not mine, not his sister, not family. Another woman. The photographer spoke softly. I noticed it while adjusting the focus. I thought, "You deserve to know." The room suddenly felt too small, too quiet. I turned toward Mark. He looked normal, relaxed, completely unaware that his secret had just been exposed. He smiled at me. "Everything okay?" For a second, I wanted to scream, to confront him, to demand answers right there. But something inside me stopped. Instead, I smiled back. "Yes," I said calmly. "Everything's perfect." The photographer watched me carefully, almost surprised by my reaction. We finished the shoot. I laughed when needed, held Mark's hand when told, played the role of the happy wife perfectly. But inside, something had already broken. On the drive home, Mark talked excitedly about our anniversary party planned for that weekend. Friends, family, business partners, everyone important would be there. He kept checking his phone when he thought I wasn't looking, smiling at messages. My chest felt heavy, but my mind became strangely clear. He wasn't just cheating. He was planning something bigger. That night, while he showered, I heard his phone vibrate again on the bedside table. A new message appeared on the lock screen. "Did you tell them about her condition yet?" Condition? My breath caught. Slowly, painfully. The truth started forming. Mark wasn't only leaving me. He was preparing everyone to believe I was mentally unstable. So when he announced the divorce at our anniversary party, no one would question him. No one would believe me. I sat on the edge of the bed, staring at the glowing screen. 20 years of marriage. And he was turning me into the villain of my own life. Behind me, the bathroom door opened. Mark walked out smiling casually. "Everything okay?" he asked again. I looked up at him, and for the first time in 20 years, I saw a stranger. I smiled softly. "Yes," I said, because at that moment, I decided something. If he wanted a performance at the anniversary party, I would give him one he would never forget. The next few days felt unreal. I moved through the house like nothing had changed. I cooked dinner. I asked about his day. I smiled when he smiled. And Mark relaxed. He truly believed I knew nothing. Every night, I watched him carefully. The secret phone calls, the hidden messages, the way he suddenly acted kind whenever someone else was around. It wasn't guilt. It was preparation. He was building an image. The caring husband. The patient man. The one who had tried everything before finally leaving his unstable wife. I started noticing small things I had ignored before. Friends calling less often. Family asking strange questions like, "Are you feeling okay lately?" One evening, my sister gently asked, "Are you still forgetting things?" I froze. I had never complained about memory problems. That's when I understood. Mark had already begun telling people stories about me. Thought I was emotional, forgetful, unpredictable, unwell. He wasn't just planning a divorce. He was planning a narrative. And everyone was already starting to believe it. But instead of fighting, I prepared quietly. The anniversary party arrived faster than expected. The house filled with laughter, music, and expensive decorations. 20 years of marriage celebrated like a fairy tale. Friends hugged me. Business partners congratulated Mark. People whispered about how lucky we were. I watched him move through the crowd confidently, shaking hands, smiling proudly. He looked happy, relieved, like a man seconds away from freedom. Then I saw her, the woman from the messages, standing near the bar. Young, elegant, confident. She avoided looking directly at me, but Mark looked at her often. Small glances, secret smiles. They thought I wouldn't notice. Dinner ended. Glasses clinked. Music softened. And Mark stood up holding a microphone. My heartbeat slowed. This was it. He cleared his throat dramatically. "I want to thank everyone for coming tonight," he began warmly. 20 years of marriage is a long journey. People laughed softly. He sighed, pretending sadness. Sometimes love changes. Sometimes life takes unexpected turns. The room grew quiet. I saw sympathy already forming on faces around us. He continued carefully. Over the years, Olivia has struggled with certain personal challenges. There it was. The setup. The lie. "I try to support her," he said gently. "But sometimes love isn't enough." Gasps spread through the crowd. People looked at me with pity. Exactly what he wanted. He was about to announce the divorce. About to paint himself as the victim. And me as the problem. He turned toward me. "Olivia," he said softly into the microphone, "I think it's time we're honest with everyone." The room held its breath. But before he could say another word, I stood up. "Actually," I said calmly, reaching for the microphone, "I'd like to speak first." Mark blinked, surprised. He hesitated only a second before handing it to me. He wasn't worried. He thought I would cry, break down, prove his story true. I faced the crowd. 20 years of friends, family, and colleagues watching closely. My hands were steady, my voice calm. "I know my husband plans to divorce me tonight." The room froze. Mark's smile disappeared instantly. Whispers erupted. I continued gently. "And I know many of you are told I've been struggling, mentally." People exchanged uncomfortable looks. I turned toward Mark. Our eyes met. For the first time that night. He looked afraid. I smiled kindly. "But tonight isn't about anger," I said. "It's about truth." Silence filled the room. I took a slow breath. Because the next words would change everything. I held the microphone gently. The entire room was silent. Every eye was on me. Mark stood beside me, frozen, unsure of what I would say next. I looked at the guests, friends, relatives, business partners, people who had known us for years. Then I spoke calmly. "Yes, my husband plans to divorce me tonight." A wave of whispers spread through the hall. I continued before anyone could interrupt. "And I know many of you were told that I've been unstable, forgetful, difficult to live with." Several people looked uncomfortable. Some avoided my eyes, because they had heard those stories. Mark swallowed hard. I could see panic slowly replacing his confidence. I smiled softly. "But tonight, I'm not here to defend myself." The room grew even quieter. "I'm here to say something simple." I turned toward Mark. "I forgive you." Gasps echoed across the room. Mark's face went pale. He clearly hadn't expected kindness. "I forgive you for believing money, image, and convenience mattered more than loyalty," I said gently. "I forgive you for telling people I was broken, so leaving me would look noble." My voice never rose. I wasn't angry. and that confused everyone more than rage ever could. Then I added quietly, but I also choose myself. I placed the microphone back on the stand. For 20 years, I loved this marriage. Tonight, I walk away from it with dignity. The silence felt heavy. No shouting, no drama, no revenge, just truth. I stepped closer to Mark. Only he could hear my next words. One day, I whispered, "You'll understand what you lost." His eyes filled with something I had not seen in years. Fear, regret, maybe even shame. Then I turned and walked out of the party. No tears, no looking back, just peace. 2 years later, my life became quieter after that night. I moved to a smaller home near the coast. I started painting again, something I had stopped doing years ago. Mornings were calm. Coffee by the window, walks by the ocean. No pretending, no fear of disappointing anyone. For the first time in decades, I felt free. I didn't need revenge. Healing was enough. One rainy afternoon, while walking downtown, I noticed a man sitting near the sidewalk. Dirty clothes, unshaven face, a small cup placed in front of him. I almost walked past, until he looked up. My breath stopped. Mark. He looked older, broken. Nothing like the confident man from the anniversary party. He recognized me instantly. His eyes filled with desperation. "Olivia," he whispered. I stood still, shocked. Slowly, he stood up. "She left me," he said quickly. "Took everything, the business, the house, the savings. The younger woman, the one he chose. She used me," he admitted. "I lost everything." His voice trembled. "I made the biggest mistake of my life." People passed around us, unaware of the moment. "I already paid for what I did," he said quietly. "Please, forgive me." I studied his face. The anger I once carried wasn't there anymore. Only understanding. He had destroyed his own life. Not because of me, but because of his choices. "I do forgive you," I said calmly. Relief flooded his expression. Hope appeared in his eyes. But then I added gently, "Forgiveness doesn't mean going back." His smile faded. I placed some money in his hand, not out of love, but kindness. "I hope you find peace," I said. Then I turned and walked away. This time, not as a wife, not as someone abandoned, but as a woman who had finally chosen herself. And for the first time, I didn't feel like I had lost anything at all. I had simply walked toward the life I deserved.